Hey there troops, it's me TheTacticalBrit and we're back again today with Tactical Tuesday. And today we're talking about dying less in Battlefield 5. I've had so many questions about how to extend the longevity of your life in Battlefield 5. And today I'm going to give you guys some insight that a lot of people don't think about, and I really think it will help you improve just how often you survive gunfights and just how often you survive in general per life in Battlefield 5. And today I'm talking about stealth. A lot of you guys are probably sat there thinking, Brit, well, this isn't Splinter Cell, this isn't some stealth game, this is Battlefield, we shoot at people. But in actuality, Battlefield 5 has some of the biggest elements of stealth in any Battlefield title ever since the first ones came out. And the reason for that is the severe lack of spotting in Battlefield 5 and the way the lighting system works. Now, whilst we do expect the lighting system to somewhat change, player visibility in Battlefield 5 is entirely player controlled. You know, you have environments around you that can very easily be manipulated into your favor, and there's also other things that you can passively think about whilst playing that will definitely improve how often you live. So I'm going to be doing a lot of this video today from the spectator mode, and the reason for that is because I feel as though you really need to picture your character almost in an out-of-body experience kind of way. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people tend to think about the perspective in front of them and not what's happening around them in relation to their character model and in relation to what they're doing. And just to give you a good idea of just how insane some of this stuff is, the spectator mode really does give you guys a good depiction of how other people in the game are seeing you. You know, what is their visual scope? What can they see when they're looking at you doing certain things, when you're shooting at them? So the first thing I want you to look at is the muzzle flash and tracers in Battlefield 5. And this is a really important tip that lots of people just don't think about at all in Battlefield, especially when they're mag dumping in a certain direction, and especially when they're mag dumping in directions that have lots of enemy players in the same proximity. A lot of people tend to use excess bullets because they feel as though that will guarantee them the kill, and obviously the more the merrier. However, what people don't think about is just how obvious it is once you start firing in Battlefield 5 how easily you've given away your position. You know, once you start lighting somebody up with a machine gun, an SMG, a rifle, anything, the tracers make it abundantly clear that you're either going to be in one or two locations, dependent on what the person has seen. Even if you only get a quick glance at the tracers in Battlefield 5, you can roughly estimate that the guy is either where the tracer went towards or where the tracer came from. And you can even use friendly tracers to figure out where people are, just purely by looking at the direction they're going towards. And it's so inherently obvious, especially with fully automatic weapons, where people are in the map once they start firing, that it's very easy to get easy kills off of it. And more importantly, it's very easy to die if you forget about that. If you forget about the fact that your gun makes a lot of noise and more importantly has a very big visual effect that lets people know where you are, it's so easy for somebody to just look at that yellow tracer and go, ah, cool, he's right there, no problem, blow his brains off. And that's exactly what happens, and it's why things like sniper rifles and light machine guns are especially in danger. Lots of people think it's because of bipodding, but in actuality it's because these things have really massive tracers. They have really consistent ones as well if you're using a light machine gun, for example, and it makes it so inherently obvious as to your position. The next thing I want you to think about is lighting in Battlefield 5. This is something that lots of people just don't seem to care about, and it's something that they really should. Now, one of the reasons people are struggling in Battlefield 5 about people killing them and being killed from places is because they don't recognize where players are. And the reason they don't recognize where players are is because in Battlefield 5, provided you have the right lighting and provided you have the right background behind you, it's incredibly easy to hide from opponents. The silhouette effect of Battlefield 5 is really something that you should think about. If you're using shadows to your advantage, you can make it significantly more difficult for enemy players to see you. And to give you a good example, I've drawn this. It's a very simple thing that works in Battlefield 5. You know, if there is a solid background behind a player that's a dark-ish colour, it will be difficult to see his silhouette. It will be difficult to make him out. But if you see a player that's got, you know, a sky or some bright yellow fields or an explosion or some fires behind him, it's incredibly obvious to make out the frame of a character. And using lighting to make it difficult to make the frame of your character obvious isn't necessarily easy to do, but it isn't necessarily difficult to do either. All it takes is thinking, ooh, you know, this has quite a lot of light around it. It's quite bright here. You know, maybe it will be obvious that I'm standing here. And going to a position that's perhaps lower lit or isn't exactly as obvious could really be the difference maker. The next thing for me is something that I think a lot of people forget about, and this is something I call a cutoff. Now, the way the brain almost processes images in front of them is by noticing patterns, and by noticing patterns, it really makes it obvious when something is out of place. So in Battlefield 5, you'll have this situation where somebody is standing behind a really tall wall, or somebody's standing behind, something like a windowsill, and it makes it incredibly obvious that there's a player there, because there's something wrong. As a Battlefield player and just as a regular human being, you identify that there's a bump that shouldn't be there. There's something that isn't quite right in any given situation that you're looking at. And when you see things like that, it makes it incredibly obvious that you're meant to shoot at those things. And more importantly, if you're somebody who is in one of those positions, it makes it clear to you that you need to be moving away from something like that. One big example I like to use is the church tower on Arras. Lots of people really like to use the front wall of the church as a means to attack the objective, but I think that's the worst thing you can possibly do, purely because it's just so obvious where you are. Like, look at your head, it's clearly not supposed to be there, it's clearly cut out from this wall. Your character's silhouette is so inherently obvious in this situation that you're going to die. And using much more low-key positions to attack objectives is something I highly recommend. The final thing for stealth is crouch running. A lot of people really underestimate just how loud footsteps can be in Battlefield 5, and crouch running actually really shortens the volume that you hear. Like, it makes it, A, a little less easy to hear how far away the enemy is, and B, the footsteps are lighter as well, so when you've got lots of ambient sound around you, it's really easy to have your footsteps masked by something like gunfire, or any kind of given battlefield explosion or sound. So troops, that's about it for this video today. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Is there anything you want me in particular to discuss? As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon in the next Battlefield video.